Marianne Williamson was pressured when she was on corporate media about Trump and her running third party and supporting the Democratic Party nominee. You want to know what she said? She said, trust me, guys, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we defeat the Republican fascism, meaning that when she loses, she's going to support Joe Biden. So there's some people in this video. There's some people in this video, by the way, some with longer hair, some of them that also live in Kansas City as well. Some people that were lying about the dirty break are being called them out because they lied about the dirty break. And because of that, we didn't get the wedding invite. We called the Vanguard, Krystal, and many other people lying about Marianne Williamson's dirty break because we reminded many of these people that you see in this picture to have no memory that when you run in the Democratic Party nominee, you got to sign a contract that says you must endorse the candidate that wins, which is why Tulsi Gabbard, even though she was extremely anti-Democratic Party, that's why Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Joe Biden, because she had to. We don't know the penalties of that, but every single person crumbled thus far. Apparently, the contract is so strong. Tulsi, who was 100% anti-Democrat at that point, endorsed Biden because that contract is that fucking strong. But the asset journalists in this picture wanted you to forget about that, and they wanted to convince you that somehow you're allowed to debate in the Democratic Party and do a dirty break. That is not possible. We told you that, but since we told you that, we wasn't invited to the wedding, and we're going to talk about a few reasons why we wasn't invited. So this is going to be a fun segment. Throughout this segment, we'll explain to you guys why we wasn't invited, why you didn't see probably Jimmy there, you didn't see Black Power Media, you didn't see
Combo Couch, you didn't see there.
We were rude ghetto hoodlums, but they couldn't invite Margaret Kimberly. So was it only people that support the Marianne Williamson project?
I woke up, I'm on the West Coast, so all of my RBN comrades, brothers and sister, gets all this news before me, like hours. And I wake up and I usually see, and I woke up and I logged onto Twitter. This is literally in my feed, and I'm tagged multiple times by different people. Like, can't wait till RBN gets a hold of this picture, or you see this nonsense, or you see this access journalism.
Yeah, I was tagged so much in this shit, man. Because RBN, we've been one of the few that been calling out these this rising acceptable access journalism that we've seen among progressives that treat like, oh yeah, of course, we're friends. We're not gonna be mean to our friends. Ignoring the fact that the press not supposed to be fucking friends with politicians. You're not supposed to be chummy with Ilhan Omar. Not supposed to be chummy with these people. They're not supposed to be comfortable enough with you to go to your social events. We couldn't get any of the boutique left to attend the March for Medicare for All. Shama Sawant couldn't get Marianne Williamson or anyone to tweet about Worker Strike Back. They couldn't get Bernie Sanders, Marianne Williamson to go to Worker Strike Back. Marianne Williamson couldn't go to Worker Strike Back, but she can go to the wedding. Why do you think that is? Why do you guys think that is? It's a big club, and you're not in it. A lot of people were convinced that they was allowed in the club. They subscribe to these people's channels, and they're like, man, I'm part of the club. No, this is class war. This is class loyalty. And you think I couldn't have been invited to this wedding? CJ, you think we couldn't have been part of this damn club? Nigga, last year, all we have to do is like, yeah, I know we're radical. I know we're telling you guys that electoral politics is a waste of time, but I heard some great things about Marianne Williamson, man. I heard some great things about Marianne Williamson. Great Marianne Williamson. She can push by and left. Imagine if Marianne Williamson came on our show and I gave her the nice softball interview she was looking for. And I was telling my people, like, yeah, I think everyone should donate to Marianne Williamson's campaign. Here's the link. I really hope you beat Joe Biden, Marianne. I'll be at the goddamn wedding.
Yeah. How do you think Vanguard got there? Because they magically was standing for Kyle and Kulinski, a.k.a. Jay-Z and Beyonce. They were standing for them. Yeah. Kept bringing them on the show. Make sure to ask them softball questions. Make sure to say, I agree with most of everything you're saying, like to all of their answers, right? Yeah. Now, magically, he's at the wedding. Now, wedding is just not random people, right? Or do people now invite random people to weddings? Do people now who don't live in that state and have to fly to a different state, do they now spend money on random people to go visit weddings? Is that what's happening? Or is this solidification for the vanguard that they have been their apprenticeship for the Bernie Sanders industrial context is over.
Yep.
They've crossed over. They turn. Put your tassel to the other side, brothers. Put your tassel to the other side. You have graduated into the Bernie Sanders.
I do want to say congratulations to the Vanguard boys because they accomplished a dream. They were very open about the fact that they were fans of Kyle Kulinski, fans of Krystal Ball. Not journalists, they're fans, right? They love these people. They want to be approved by these people, and they thought that they can lure RBN that way. They're like, oh, let's Krystal Ball follow you. Marianne Williamson, have Marianne Williamson follow you. Have some of these people on this panel say nice things about you. And they thought, oh man, these people like us. They like our tweets. They went on our show before, so that we're not going to be critical. No, that's not how this shit works. Not how this shit works. They definitely try to tempt. And I see them do it all the time. They tempt people who will otherwise be radical, who will otherwise criticize their access journalism bullshit. Because when everyone on this photo will push a Marianne Williamson, that's bullshit. And there are people in this photo that we like. But that's bullshit. We're not going to allow that because we are friends. And then when we call these people out for it, they're like, oh my God, how dare you? I thought you guys liked each other. How dare you call these people out? Like, no, you're gaslighting the working class. You're gaslighting the left, and we are not going to allow civility politics to silence what you guys are doing.
Right.
When you guys are trying to get working class people to donate to a campaign that is dead in the water, is that organized for mutual aid? Wasting resources. You got Krystal Ball telling this is the bride here that third-party activists had to grow up. And I'm gonna look at A1 in this video, in this clip here. And I want you guys to know all these motherfuckers are wealthy. And this is what another argument that RBN makes that's very offensive to these people. When we told you as a Marxist, because these people are not Marxists, none of them are. These people are social democrats at best. None of these people have your class interest in mind. And when we say that, they cluster pro. Are you saying, how dare you say that? Yeah, I said it. They do not have your class interest in mind. If they did, they wouldn't be advocating voting for Joe Biden like Marianne Williamson did. They wouldn't have imperialist positions. They wouldn't be supporting the NATO-Ukraine war like Kyle Kulinski has done, like Marianne Williamson has done. Their class interest trumps all, which is why there's nothing but their class there. Once again, I don't give a fuck. We wasn't there. We don't care to be friends with these people at all. At least I'll speak for myself. At all, right? But where's the workers? Where are the union people there? Where's social alternatives?
Where's Chris Smalls? Chris Smalls may actually be there. Actually, maybe he's there.
Maybe,
or maybe he's in Cuba. I don't know if he's still in Cuba.
When I see this picture, I'm not seeing people who have my class interest in mind at all.
And to that point, Nick. Just let me go back to this picture here. This is the point that I wanted to make. Imagine turn Marianne Williamson to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And turn Ben Bridges, turn all these other people. We have Wolf Blitzer, we have Jake Tapper, we have Rachel Maddow, we have I don't even know Anderson Cooper, we have Joy-Ann Reid. Why would y'all be saying? Wouldn't you be going like, well, now I know why they're not covering Marianne Williamson, my candidate. Look, now I understand. Now, ask yourself this question. What critique are you seriously going to get about any Marianne Williamson campaign from the people in this picture? You tell me.
And that's exactly the problem. Because it would be one thing if they was friends, but they had legitimate criticism of Marianne Williamson. No, everyone in these pictures have. Not only did they recruit Marianne, as we exposed on RBN, they manufactured consent for Marianne, had no negative things to say about Marianne Williamson at all, and that's why they do the wedding. So it's not like we're just being assholes and they've been mean, they've been adversarial to Marianne. They got this Marianne attended their wedding. They all became friends because they are not adversarial to each other. That's the problem. And I'm gonna pull this tweet up and we get back to the screen. Because it's a great tweet.
Yeah, take it down.
Greg, when I get the chance to pull it up. Because this is the principles that the left used to have. They got RBN, we're now called bullies now. People, how dare you punch up at these people who are more wealthy than you? How dare you challenge these wealthy people on their access journalism. We're used to black Marxists and black radicals shutting the fuck up and knowing their place. How dare RBN voice their opinions and share what left values actually look like? They want us to be quiet about this stuff. Now, this is a tweet which everyone should understand. Let's be clear. This is a presidential candidate at a news people wedding. This is what we used to call access journalism. Due Dissidents made a great point last night in saying they recruited her to run, which we exposed as well. Now, this is the important point. Once you guys be calling out your mic, I know you guys like these people. You watch their live streams every once in a while. You think they're entertaining. You think they care about you and all this stuff, right? Imagine if Charlie Kirk was caught partying and dining with Ron DeSantis, which he does, by the way. He does do that, which is why he's a partisan hack that no one respects. But if Charlie Kirk did this with Trump and DeSantis, you guys would not be as forgiving. So why are the left being trained to have low standards of expectations? Why are we being trained to accept this shit when we are not supposed to? We became independent media to reject access journalism. Now, we are very opinionated about our beliefs. We are uncensored in our beliefs. But I still had the grandson of Nelson Mandela on our show this morning. We had Maury Kimberly on. We have all these great guests that come on. All these great guests that have nothing but great things to say, but not politicians, and that's okay. Marianne Williamson asked to come on our show. And that's where the infamous RBN Marianne Williamson got set up. Marianne Williamson asked to come on our show because she wanted to clear the record. She wanted us to do propaganda for her because we made devastating, scathing critiques of her politics. So she asked to come on to defend herself. That is how journalism is supposed to work. You're not supposed to kiss these people's asses and then have them by the grace show up, because people say this all the time. How dare you be so mean to Marianne Williamson when she had the grace to come on your show? For one, I don't give a fuck if she come on my show. She has to come on my show, and we're not supposed to be nice to them because they do. Now, if Marianne Williamson, if they was adversarial to her, would she show up to the wedding? No. That's the problem.
Absolutely not. Nick, when you get married, send her a copy of the video, the stream you did with her, and the invitation to the wedding, and see if she show up. It's completely ridiculous. And I hope that the U.S. left, who listen to them, I hope this is some of the things that wake them up out of reality here.
It does too.
That it is not possible. The professional managerial class, the petty bourgeoisie, is trying to convince you the same thing that the ruling class is trying to convince us of. We can accept donations and it doesn't affect us. We can be friends with her and it doesn't affect our reporting. It's a complete lie.
Bullshit.
And they're trying to convince you of that. Go ahead.
It's not just a difference in opinion, guys. While we go hard on this Marianne Williamson, it's a lie. These people lied for Marianne Williamson. They lied about the dirty break, which we exposed. We exposed them lying about the dirty break and watch them. Listen to the Vanguard, Bree, and a few other people, how they talk about that lie that they told people.
Yeah, they still haven't fully admitted that. As of recently as 2 weeks ago, I've heard the people in this picture speak on this. Yeah, if she would have did it, and they still not describing it as if it's possible. She clearly has already said in multiple interviews who she's pushing, the Democratic candidate. She's already said that, and they're still not even acknowledging it, Nick.
And then they many people in the photo literally lied about that afterwards. Like after she said multiple times that like she had an MSNBC interview, which was the most damning of it, right? Where she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to beat the scourge of Trump, the fascism of Trump," some liberal bullshit like that, right? That interview alone, let alone all the other evidence that we had, there was so much evidence that was a lie. But she did an interview the day after they always pushing that lie that killed it, and guess what? None of them covered it. That was the one Marianne Williamson segment that they didn't do. Whenever Marianne Williamson does anything, you can count on Kyle and Krystal in the Vanguard to do a segment on it. But the one interview, she pretty much killed the dirty break. All of a sudden, this goes quiet. All of a sudden, we're not covering Marianne Williamson today. Very interesting how that works, right?
Right. Right. Because notice how they don't, you notice now, ask yourself this question, because multiple polls have come out since that one poll that they keep referencing, 10%. Multiple polls, Nick, has come out that have included her. Now, multiple polls have come out that has not, but multiple polls that have come out has included her, none of which has matched the 10%, Nick. Some of which got her in single digits, like 2-3%. Do you think any of them have a word about it
and
has put out a stream about it?
Yep.
No.
Yep. And they lied about the dirty break. They lied about creating a new Bernie movement. Remember when this whole conversation came out? And we were asking what you would think would be common sense questions. When Gavin and many other people, the Vanguard, when Krystal and Kyle was like, we're gonna recreate the Bernie movement. Why not? Why not recreate the Bernie movement? And we asked a simple question: what are you gonna do when Bernie Sanders and progressive electors are not on board with your strategy? Man, you guys are being negative. You guys are killing our vibe. Then Bernie comes out and says he's not going to support Marianne Williamson and he's going to support Joe Biden. Exactly what we told them what happened. And then they all did videos acting surprised about this. So they lied to you guys about a new Bernie coalition being started. They lied to you guys about a dirty break. And then some of these people, and I remember I saw the Vanguard like, why are being so hard on Marianne? they were bitching and complaining about being so mean about Marianne. They're like, man, Marianne is a progressive candidate. And they was like, yeah, Bernie. And this is the point where they were forced to admit it. They would say stuff like this. They would say, yeah, we know Marianne Williamson isn't Bernie Sanders, but what? So you guys will acknowledge that Marianne Williamson is not as strong as a candidate as Bernie Sanders, but you guys want us to waste $200 million on her campaign? And also, Bernie Sanders was my compromise. There's no way I would ever get invested in electoral politics unless you had someone miles and miles above Bernie Sanders. It would have to be a leader I can't even comprehend right now.
He's the floor, like Shama Sawan said. He's not the top. He is the floor. The entrance to get in starts with being at least Bernie Sanders. That's where it starts. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, the class loyal people, they're like, we know Marianne Williamson is not good as Bernie Sanders. Not a big deal. Bernie's off ceiling. Why you guys expect every candidate to be as good as Bernie Sanders? Because Bernie didn't win. If Bernie did not win, why the fuck will you guys recruit someone who's worse than Bernie? Give me a Rome. Give me a Chris Walls. Give me fucking anyone who is to the left of Bernie Sanders. You guys pick someone who's worse than Bernie, and you guys thought another Bernie Sanders movement was going to happen. And then you guys doing shock reaction videos now. And then another very important point, I'm sorry, C. John ranting. Another important point of y'all theory was if it's Marianne Williamson versus Joe Biden one-on-one, and once again, we asked a simple question that none of the accent journalists there would ask. Why are you so sure that Marianne Williamson is going to be the only one to run? What happens if it's not one-on-one between Marianne and Biden? Right. And guess what happened later? RFK announced, and now Marianne Williamson's candidacy is in water. So we mentioned all these reasons why Marianne Williamson 2024 is a bad idea, and that's why we're not at the wedding. In order to be at that goddamn wedding, you know what you had to say, CJ? Man, we can really do it. We can really make a new Bernie Sanders movement. All we have to do is get on the debate stage. All we have to do is support Marianne Williamson. She had a shot, guys. And if you make a reaction video of her not being included into a poll, that +10 and how much Marianne Williamson likes you. If you do all these things, you might get that wedding invite. But if you use any common sense, any knowledge, if you care about the resources of the working class people, you're deplorable that we want nothing to do with. So
Nick, this is how I look at it.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought he was coming. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You can talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that I feel like they're laughing at their audience. That's what they're doing because it's like the grift. It's like it worked. It's we're here. We're all toasting. Just imagine the conversations. You think they went that whole wedding without talking about her candidacy, without mentioning RBN? Do you think RBN was not mentioned at that fucking place? I guarantee you the words RBN Revolutionary Blackout was mentioned there because of the critiques. But the point that I'm getting at is that it's like, yeah, you may lose, but look, we're here toasting. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? It's not at all relevant whether she wins or loses. And they say this out in the open. It's not relevant at all because we can just throw money at shit that doesn't do anything. Like, that's their world. Now, let me just follow me here. Comcast executive goes and recruits. They see what's happening. Hey, Bernie Sanders is getting up there. Let's have a meeting with Joe Biden's team. Convinces Joe Biden to run. How is that different here? Then Comcast, I don't know if they still own MSNBC. Comcast and MSNBC go ahead and start running puff pieces on Joe Biden. Never talking about his bad polls, only talking about his good polls. And then you see the Comcast executive out with Bernie Sanders, out with Morning Joe and Mika. Could you imagine, Nick, after that interview they did on Morning Joe, when they interviewed Joe Biden about Tara Reid, could you imagine a photo coming out at a wedding with Joe Biden, Mika, and Joe Scarborough together? What would people be saying about that? But that's somehow okay here, that we can be chummy with. This is a presidential candidate, people. This is a presidential candidate. And this is my last point before I pass it back to you. This so reminds me, Nick, of the Squad. This is such a Squad move. And then when they get the reaction they get, they're going to be like, what do you mean? What's the problem? What's the problem? I guarantee that's going to be the reaction of, what do you mean? What's the problem? You can trust me. Really? Because I haven't heard you report on her polling at all. Heard 1% since RFK entering. I haven't heard you report on any of that, how her polling is terrible.
Yep.
Go ahead, Nick.
Also, I haven't seen Marianne people call for a debate with RFK. So you guys realize those excuses of Marianne? I want to see it. That shit's going to be hilarious, watching RFK curb stomp this liberal. Because the argument before of why you don't have independent sanctioned debates is because you can't have independent sanctioned debates because it's against the DNC rules. If you do an independent debate, then you may not be invited to the debate stage. Right. That's the fear. That's why if you're Bernie Sanders, it's not worth doing a debate with Elizabeth Warren on TYT, even though that will help you. You got to wait till the DNC calls. Because if you do that, they will disqualify you from the debates, right? So now that the Democrats canceled the debates, what is the reasoning for Marianne Williamson not to debate RFK on Ukraine? There's a big disagreement between you guys and Ukraine. Are you guys going to talk about it? There's a big disagreement between Marianne Williamson and RFK on COVID policies. Are you guys going to talk about it? My prediction, but if they did, RFK would eat her MSNBC talking point repeating ass all the way the fuck up. And that's why I want to see. There's no excuse for not having that anymore. And the people who claim that they support Marianne Williamson because they want a legitimate primary to Joe Biden, isn't RFK more legitimate than Marianne Williamson at this point? My question is, for the people who believe, they really believe that, which I do not, why aren't they supporting RFK now? RFK supports universal health care. RFK, I looked at his platform, surprisingly progressive. I don't support RFK because I have no plans of voting for the Democrat primary, right? But they do. Their strategy is to force a left conversation. So if that was their real intent, why aren't they supporting RFK? They're not, because it's all about propping up Marianne Williamson. It was never about no fucking strategy. It was about getting her to attend their wedding. So if it really was about principles, they were like, hey, Marianne, we got the strategy. I know we love you, but RFK is our best option to do the strategy that we are advocating for. They're not.
And he's polling better. And he's polling better.
Exactly. Polling better. And if you disagree with me, if you're a Marianne Williamson fan and you're a good faith, you'd be like, all right, I don't know who I should support between Marianne and RFK. Let's do a debate. No Marianne Williamson supporters calling for that. In fact, I showed you guys my tweet where I damn near ratioed Marianne when she went after RFK. And I was like, hey, you should debate RFK. I wasn't mean to her. I wasn't rude to her. I said, I think you should debate RFK. That shit got hundreds of likes on it. Meanwhile, there was Marianne Williamson stands there like, no, she shouldn't debate him. She shouldn't debate him. He's an anti-vax crank. And I'm like, you are someone who support a candidate that's struggling for attention, and you don't want to debate RFK Jr., who's doing better than her? That seems like you don't have confidence in her. It seems like you're not serious about this shit, and they're not. A lot of these people are not. Anyway, the white guy with the beard above Marianne looks very uncomfortable. What are you talking about? Let's see who you're talking about.
I think he's talking about Ben Bridges.
That's Ben Bridges.
Or unless he's talking about the guy. Unless he's talking about the other Vanguard guy. Yeah.
I think that's Zach. Y'all come for Slack, man. This is the first big political event. They made it, guys. Congrats to the Vanguard. Congrats to the Vanguard, man. They want to be part of the club. They got it.
They made it. That's like them sitting in the draft. That's like them sitting in the draft booth. And they getting to hear their name called. For the 7
me, I gave a speech at Worker Strike Back. I was very honored. I just spoke to Nelson Mandela. I was very honored when Dr. Cornel West personally complimented me for my first op-ed, my Substack. Those were moments I was very proud of. Like those moments are like, damn, I'm actually making an impact. This is their moment. We made it. We had Crystal Ball's wedding. I'm never going to be invited to these things, but I get to talk to Nelson Mandela's grandfather. I get to talk to Cornel West, and I get something out of that. I mean, different. They just super glad they made it, and you can tell, man. Good for these kids. Man. Good for them. Good for them. They did it. They really did. There are a few more. Thank you for the super chats, guys. This is a fun stream. Thank you for $20. Chad's mom, you are forgetting Marianne has a secret weapon. She's gonna ride that TikTok wave. Yeah, that's it. Woo. Yeah, Chad's mom, man, you shut me down there.
All those people who can't who aren't old enough to vote, they're gonna come out and vote.
Just stop being a negative Nancy, man. Stop using fucking facts. Okay? Chad's mom is right, man. I forgot all about the wave of TikTok people who can't vote. That's gonna in the wave of TikTok that's not even that viral. But
yeah.
Anyway, great comment. Thank you for $20. Ben Burgess shared a screenshot of your stream. That boy is big mad. I wonder why. I wonder if he's big mad. I would love to debate Ben Burgess. I would love to debate Ben Burgess. He was one of the people that like, man, I'm down to debate anyone. Then I saw
he's garbage.
Like Ben, he was like, I'm down to debate anyone. And then I saw people tag me in his tweet, and then never people like, why don't you debate me? Then nah, fuck that shit. But anyway, that's funny. I'm glad that they get to see the criticism because I want to see if they're a good faith. We are making a legitimate access journalism criticism. I want you guys to catch yourself because it's easy to get caught in the sauce. They may not realize. I think they do, but maybe you guys need a wake up call. The civility politics among independent media have been going on long enough. Like everyone want to be super nice so they can get invited on each other's shows and all this shit. Nah. You're either right or you're wrong. I think I read that one. Thing for $10. I read that one. I'm sorry, I'm just going in order. I just gotta make sure I go. Do you guys thank you for $5, Jane? Do you guys believe that oppressors dehumanize themselves, as Paulo Freire states in Pedagogy of the Oppressed? I believe they do. They are taught to dehumanize themselves. And to be real quick on this, and I see people in my personal life, it drives me fucking crazy. I told this story so many times, but I say it for people who knew. I remember my cousin was staying with me. He was one of the many people I took in who otherwise would have been homeless. And this motherfucker works every goddamn day, morning to night. Like, and the thing is, he was a roommate with me for like 4 months. But it was like no one was here. He would wake up, go to work, he would leave at like 7 a.m., get back at 1 a.m. Never seen the motherfucker. Best roommate ever. Then he go see a kid whenever he get a chance. And he was talking to me. He was like, man, I don't know why, man. I think I'm cursed. I can't get my shit together, man. I can't ever get ahead. And he was blaming himself. I'm like, bro, you know how hard you fucking work? In a just society, nigga, you should be living large, bro. This dude had 2 jobs, doing everything he could to provide for his kids. But he felt like he was failing because capitalism tell you if you're not in a mansion, if you're poor, it's your fault. So to keep the point very short, to answer your question, I do believe that because I see it all the time. I see people in my personal life all the time blame themselves for shit that was not their fault. And I hope, and I'm sure some people will listen to me, and you guys know people like that as well. I can go all day on that. I Emma's point there. You guys get it. I can go all day on that topic. There, like black elders, like when black workers, their labor value is being stolen. Wealth being stolen by the police state. But the answer that comes from Killer Mike, I might do this segment later this week. Killer Mike, like, man, black people need to be more assertive. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's nothing that a worker can do, pulling themselves by the bootstrap, that will stop them from having their wages spoiled by capital. Right? Anyway, that's a topic for another day.
That's a long, yes.
You guys always leave thought-provoking super chat. That's why I always go on these rants. But I know we're about 2 hours in, so I know we probably gotta wrap up soon. Thank for let's see. Oh yeah, I don't think I read that one yet. I think for $5, Tool Druid is undeniably asset journalism here. And I would say that any pundit or podcaster inviting a press candidate to their wedding. Absolutely. Most people who are not indoctrinated by these people, I guess, can see that. Like, to me, it's obvious. Anyway, thank you for $20. NRJ, excellent interview with Mandela's grandson, Nick. Also, FD's gatekeeping, pseudo leftists, much love, comrades. One of the reasons I go so hard, bro, is because I deal with the smugness of these PMCs, especially since my time in the Bernie campaign. Listen to that video where Krystal, the bride, telling third-party activists to grow up because they want to support Marianne Williamson. Do you think those two things are connected now? Where Marianne Williamson is telling third-party activists to grow up because they want to support Marianne Williamson? Because she got a wedding in a few months. So she's going to scold third-party activists who are doing their job. Like PMC fucks, Democratic operatives are so used to a pacified third-party movement, where I think they made the biggest mistake, where they're like, it's cool. It's okay if you don't support us. You're still an ally, though. It's okay if you vote for Joe. You don't have to vote for Joe Stein. I get you scared. No, third-party activists need to stop doing that bullshit. You want to know why? Because it has not worked. This thing where you guys say it's okay to support Democrats in a third party, what has that led to? Joe Stein getting 1%, Hobby Hawkins getting 0.2%. Is that strategy working with you guys being tolerant of people voting Democrat? I say it's not. So at what point do third-party activists actually make their argument? When Marianne Williamson announced his candidacy, me and CJ were very open about the fact that we about to cut the legs out of this motherfucker because I am a third-party activist and I do not apologize for it. And I'm going to make my argument. So if someone is going to sheep-herd people to the Democratic Party, it's upon me to make the argument and convince people on why that's a bad idea. And they can't debunk my ideas, so they appeal to civility politics, where they say, oh my God, RBN's so mean. Why are you so mean to Marianne? Fuck that. I'm a third-party activist, and I'm going to advocate for it. Unlike many people have done. That shit with the Hobby Hawkins strategy. I get Republicans are the worst. I get why you wouldn't vote for me, but maybe consider it. Horrible strategy. Thank you for the they were $5, Eric. When Bernie showed up to Krystal and Kyle's wedding, did Bernie make Kyle sit out on his own?
We got joke tellers in the audience.
Either our audience comes out with some super base ass facts and comment that's way smarter than me, or they're funny as hell. Much love to our community. A few more here. Thank you for the 199. Cool Blue. Not being invited was the win. Hashtag congrats. And this is my position. Like, if you do this and you have Marianne Williamson attend your wedding as of someone in the press, you better have some fucking receipts. You better have some evidence of you being tough on them. That's the sin here. Like, if Marianne Williamson was criticized by these people regularly and she attend, we'd be having a completely different conversation. Still be kind of access, but it's a completely different conversation. The problem is they do this wedding. They have this big social club that you're not a part of. Can't emphasize that enough. But then they also are cheerleaders and they lie to their audience about them. That's the problem, at least to me. Anyway, thank you for the $10. People, log 66. Make sure I give you a shout out. People who think of themselves as left don't realize that the 1930s, the main support for Hitler, this is such an important point, came from the establishment left at the time, the National Socialist Party. Well, you had liberals that was opposed to socialists and communists so much that there was 100% with the fascists winning, and that's has been the long-standing tradition. When you have people and the establishment, I think you got it right here. I just gotta be careful here because when you have neoliberals that prey on people not knowing terms, and they will say, "Yeah, you know, it's actually with the left that caused the rise of Hitler," but they're actually talking about liberals and social democrats. They will say this half truth to make people think that socialists and communists was helping Hitler, even though it was the exact opposite. It was the liberals and social democrats that led to that facilitated the rise of Hitler. But anyway, that's story of another time, and I'm not gonna pretend to be expert, but I just want to explain that basic concept. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. I think I read that one. Thank you, Christian, for $5. I think I caught up. Let me make sure. I'm gonna do a quick check to make sure I miss new one. Just quick check here, real quick. I think we're done here, right? So, any other stories you want to know? I think I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, well, I was looking through there to make sure we didn't have it either.
I have stories, but we can do those tomorrow for RBN Live. They for $4.99. I honestly thought this pick was fake. He was like, "No way." Andrew was like, "No way, no way, no way they would do this. No way they would be this honest about it." That's funny.
Andrew. And you were wrong.
Andrew's like, "No way they would be
like we could have went on another hour on this, but we have time constraints, so literally we could go through another hour if we did content where we can just point out how. Wait a minute. I wonder if this is tied to your access journalism, how they're forcefully pushing certain points about her. Like, how can they hold their heads up high after to this picture? I don't understand. Like, how are you going to promote her at this point? People are going to be like, what? Did she tell you to do this at the wedding? Like, how can you hold your head up high after this? I don't get it.
Krystal is very sus because Krystal was in many of the people that pushing Marianne, like the Vanguard as well, used to push third parties. Like Mike Figueroa used to push third parties. Krystal used to sound way. I remember this clip vividly because we followed each other. I've seen her work, even things I disagree with. She used to be way more anti-two-party duopoly recently. Like during the Build Back Better, she used to criticize Build Back Better. Then she went from criticizing Build Back Better to all of a sudden her criticism of Biden was that they didn't implement Build Back Better. There was a lot of shit that Krystal Ball went through that was obvious to people. And she went from that to now wagging her finger at third-party activists. Now, this is a few months ago. We didn't know this in hindsight. She has that unbelievably cringe rant about growing up. And then a few months later, she has a wedding that Marianne Williamson attends. Disgusting. That rant was planned to get her to her wedding. Because remember that when that rant happened, CJ? There were a lot of Breaking Point fans. They was like, "Whoa, Krystal, what the fuck happened to you?" I don't know if you saw that, but a lot of people like, "Whoa, what happened to Krystal?"
Changed up baby. Like they all.
they had that marriage. They had that wedding plan. They had that wedding plan. Yeah, I saw Kyle. I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna put that up. Hey, you got
no, I saw some shit there, and I saw that last one.
You got to I'm not gonna comment. They made personal decisions. They made personal decisions. I'm not gonna judge anyone's life decisions, but apparently Krystal was married when they hooked up with Kyle.
Yeah, let's leave that alone. That is true. That's true.
I'm not keep saying nobody. I have no problem with that, by the way. Like apparently, like Krystal was still with her husband. They got with Kyle. Her husband was like cool with it. That's a personal life decision. I'm not gonna kink shame. But man, this is 100% asset journalism. But anyway, CJ, anything else you want to add to this? I think I think I'm good.
Yeah. I just want to say this not at all. There's people in here we would consider as friendly to the network. We have to call it like we see it. This is not anything personal. And that's where journalism should be, is that you're not giving breaks, you call in balls and strikes. So if you want media that just calls balls and strikes, then this is the place to be. If you want slanted media that we've been getting for years on the left, pseudo left, then you see what you see in this picture here. So like we have to, as the left, we have to move past the professional managerial class. And we've been saying this picture kind of confirms that. Like on so many levels, I don't want to go back into it. On so many levels, this picture confirms that the professional managerial class literally should have the mic taken away from them as far as trying to lead the left. They literally need to have their mics shut off. They have zero business talking about strategy. They have zero business doing that.
They need to follow the direction of Black Marxists, have Palestinian and indigenous people lead their own struggle, like the Palestinian Community Network. They want to put themselves out in front, even though they didn't know jack shit. And this picture, the reason why we was tagged, the people who sent us all of these pictures, because they will take offense of our coverage, and then they will prove us right the next day.